leadership on this. So if you've heard of the movie The Sound of Freedom, it's about human trafficking and about the pretty scary elements that hit way too close to home about it. Rosemary has worked hard to coordinate an opportunity for us to do a private screening of that at Sourback Drive if we are willing. The cost of doing that is $3,500. I'm in the process of trying to get the South Oldham and Prospect Ocean clubs to be in for $1,000 piece. We have 2 individuals as of today that are willing to do $500 each. Our club would actually only be on the hook for $500 if we wanted to do it. We need, though, permission of the club to agree to spend $500 to do something. And it's okay if we have a little conversation about the thing we're doing the private screening for. So, Rosemary, what do we really need to say about this?
Well, we have to say, first of all, the night is August the 9th. And we want to make it open to anybody and
We'll get 400 tickets for it, right? 400 cars.
400 cars.
Okay.
What is August 9th? Wednesday? Tuesday?
So Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I just think it's a great opportunity, and this is something international is focusing on.
Yeah.
And it's not a movie.
So a couple of things I'm also working on related to that. Rotary, obviously, as Rosemary alluded to, Rotary International has a specific interest in making sure that we eradicate human trafficking. In addition to that, District 6710, which is our Rotary district, has an online in human trafficking Rotary Club that is thematic around that purpose. And so I'm going to be reaching out to that group to make sure that we can coordinate that as well. But we needed to know that everybody in the club was okay with doing this. What conversation should we have about it? That's a great question, and we have talked about whether or not something like this is down the table.
And we still have to get permission from the other 2 clubs. And if they don't want to join in, it's going to be harder on us to foot the bill.
So the reason why we bring up Tinseltown is that the cost of it is what, just a few $100s?
Correct, it's like during the day, from emails.
Yeah.
But I was hoping we could make it available. Like I said, push it. Really good, people involved and aware. Right now.
Maybe do buckets like we do there, you know.
I'm thrilled about such opportunities. I think we just have such a time problem with it.
I've got a contact.
So are we okay with is the club okay with trying to put effort into doing something? Do we need to have a vote, those people who are official? I'm not official anymore.
If you're okay with it, please raise your hand. I'd say it's unanimous.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep working with the other clubs. Rosemary and I are gonna work on options. Hopefully we can do the drive-in. If we cannot do the drive-in, we're gonna try to a couple of other sources to make it work. Blake?
I think the date's problematic. It's the first day of school, kids coming home. Let's go get some stuff. Move it back even a week, it would give you a week publicizing in the school system.
We're
Good
running
point.
out of time
I think
with
it's
them.
gonna hurt us on having the opening day that night.
I think you're right.
I do too.
Rosie, I know you were working on the schedule and that was problematic, wasn't it?
I was, if you could get it.
So we'll keep trying to push it. We'll try to do it as late as we can. We'll try to get the other people involved. So we'll work on it, and thank you very much for your permission to work.
Bill
on it.
Howard also has something he'd like to say.
Well, one of the questions, how many, our total membership here is South Oldham total membership. Take a look at it. That's not even,
Right,
right there.
Yeah.
So we've got getting it out.
we do.
Community wise. You gotta pay attention to that. Just happen to have. Senate here, which will probably.
I think you're right on, and now we will have to be willing to put some effort in to share those tickets for free to people in the community, churches, and so on. Stan?
Put it all in
Instead of 9 o'clock right now, yeah. Mark, you were gonna say something?
Well, I think the day part, you really put yourself in a huge. Heat and, it doesn't get dark until 9:30.
Yeah.
We're talking about 11:30.
Yeah.
The other is the community, the art center and festival have.
They probably do. Yeah, that old church, yeah, the old Crestwood. So what we'll do, Rosie and I will work on figuring out a place where we can do it, maybe a little bit less expensively. We'll just try our best to put this in a place where we can do this. I will report to the club on how this is going.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you all
Appreciate
very much.
Thank you.
May I ask a
Well-
question to the club on the same plan?
Yeah.
So, I've got a number of friends in Oldham County, in Grange, that are very much involved in local work to stop human trafficking in the Grange. A lot of people say, what are you talking about? Actually, there's a lot of human trafficking that goes on in the Grange. A lot of the towns outside of city centers are used in moving children and women place to place. They get out of Louisville where there's a lot more police, and then they need a place to stay, and there's a whole system set up and so on like that. Is this interesting to you all as a speaker? Would you like me to have a day when you do that? My goal this year was to be more in entertainment and in information, and not so much as a community action, which I would social justice kind of thing. But if this is interesting to you all as a club, I can get some excellent. You can raise your hands if you'd like to see me don't move that way. All right, you can find. I will reach out to some folks, and we will have, I think, a really high quality program on what's going on in Oldham County and the Grange fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw the movie, and I'm more fired up than I've ever been. It's out there. Oh, yeah.
So
It's been out for-
we are obviously, this is something that Rosemary and I'm passionate about. So I
Get in
wanted to
there.
make sure that we gave it the effort that we need to, but that's a very good point. In sensitivity to time, sorry, it's not because we want to stop that conversation. You need to know next week, we are not in this room. We are at the Coffee House Cafe next to Southeast LaGrange.
Oh, that's already been arranged, because I talked to Julie about the library. We're going to the coffee house.
Yes, we're going to the Coffee House.
Coffee house. All right. Very
On
good.
the 15th, we're probably also going to the Coffee House. We cannot have this room either time, but if it doesn't work, then we're going to talk to George. Okay.
Sounds
Couple
good.
weeks, keep your eyes
Next week, Coffee House. Thank you.
I have one more thing. What?
What?
Hey, one more thing. 110 years ago, Rotary decided to begin their year in July instead of at the beginning of the year. This was to coincide with the annual convention that was first held in July 1910, but later moved to June primarily due to July being too hot in many locations that hosted the convention. Is there a follow-up?
No, sir.
Okay. You put it together. I didn't know if there was something else on the other side. Okay. But Blaine just thought it would be an interesting fact for the Rotarians to know. So today's program. Al, if you would do the honors.
I would love to do the honors. This has been one of my
And
more
I'm-
fun than I ever thought possible to be president-elect and get speakers.
And I have
And-
1 minute to
and-
spare.
And first phone call I made was to David Bizianes. And I'm not going to give you a lot of introduction. Most of you know him. He's got great stuff to tell us. So here's your clicker and tell us stuff.
Great. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. My name is David Bizianes. I'm with the Oldham Chamber and Economic Development Office. Glad that it's not my birthday today, or between the happy bucks, the birthdays, and the newspaper articles. You guys are taking everybody down in this room. I can't imagine what it's like. Yes, so I appreciate the opportunity every chance I get to come talk to groups. A big part of what our office is responsible for is trying to communicate to the general public what exactly is going on in terms of development and specifically economic development. As you know, our office is a merged entity that contains the Oldham County Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development. So our Chamber of Commerce is responsible for trying to put on programs and events to cultivate the business community, allow and create opportunities for our businesses to connect and create and grow great jobs, professional development services, and those types of things. And then on the economic development side, we were responsible for trying to recruit and retain good business and try to expand our tax base beyond the rural community that has developed into a residential community that is on track to being a very dynamic business community. And so today I wanted to kind of go through a handful of basics. I always overtalk. So I've got 20 minutes. I've got 30 minutes.
20.
20 minutes and I'm done. So 15 minutes. And I want to save time for questions. I always run out of time and there's always a lot of questions. I'm probably not going to be able to tell you many of the answers that you're going to ask me. Either I'm not able to or I don't know the answers. But I promise I'll make up some good stuff for you, at least to go home and talk to your friends and family about. I also am joined today by my colleague here who has a real rough time working with me, apparently, and Sandy Hamilton. And Sandy and I spend a lot of time together working on all of these things that are going on in the county, and she is a tremendous asset to this entire business community. So very fortunate to have her working in our office. And also you're familiar with Kara Sanders, who is our chamber director. She has done a phenomenal job. We have had the best chamber year we've ever had, the best in attendance, the best in our revenue growth. And so the chamber does a really good job of being able to build and maintain that investment from the private sector. And then of course, on the economic development side, we have about half of our funding comes from Oldham County Fiscal Court, the city of LaGrange, and the city of Crestwood. So we're kind of a hybrid entity, but we're governed by a board of 15. Several board members are in here. I know Jason's in here. Brett's new to our board. We have some former board members here. But that board kind of helps set the priority for what our objectives are. And of course, we have to do that in concert with the various stakeholders across the county. So that being said, I want to talk about some other type of traffic that's going on in LaGrange. It's too soon? No? All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Just want to talk about some various different types of development. Obviously, when you think about development, give me a sector of development that you would consider. Residential development. All right, what else? Commerce, retail and commercial, industrial, office. That's good. Agriculture. We've got, there's a lot, but I want to focus on a few of those. Every sector of economic development has its own drivers to help incent and grow those sectors in a given area. Underneath those drivers are some really basic fundamentals that oftentimes rural communities have to prioritize in order to incent good development. And so really for the last 10 to 20 years, this community has been very focused on some long and expensive and important investments in local infrastructure. So I want to talk about some of the fundamentals related to economic development around infrastructure. And so some of the things that you can think about that if you want to develop jobs or business in a community, what do you need? And these are some of the just basic things. If you don't have these, let's not talk about any of the nuanced pieces. One would be developable land. What kind of sites are we trying to develop? Is it raw farmland or is it ready to be built? Does it have access? So are there roads? Does it have utilities? What's the status of gas and sewer and water and internet? What Workforce, what's the quality of a workforce in a community? What is the level of engagement of that workforce in a community? And then obviously business climate will always factor in. But as you get into different areas of the state, you end up with a lot of local business climates are fairly the same. So you're getting into some kind of nuanced area that each business, typically large businesses that are interested in an area will have specific incentive packages that get tailored towards them. So the general tax environment of a lot of the counties that are kind of comparable to Oldham County, not a ton of differences in the taxes. Here we have our property tax that the fiscal court gets about 8% of that. And the insurance premium tax is a big driver of fiscal court income. The city of LaGrange has an occupational tax that is specific just to LaGrange proper. But outside of that and various fees and licenses and whatnot, we have a pretty business-friendly environment. So when it comes to Oldham County and we line up all of those fundamentals, it's really important to understand, well, so how we stack up with our competition. And so I had Matt pull up Google Earth for me here. Matt, is that on? There it is. I got it. Okay. Have you all messed with Google Earth ever? I mean, it's an old tool, but it is great. Okay. One of the things I like to do when we look at Google Earth here is kind of just try to look at our community relative to the region. But first, let's just zoom in on it. And then I also have the GIS system for planning and development here. It might be a little bit more helpful when I get going. 15 minutes, David. Okay, so when you look at Oldham County, we have, well, first of all, Kentucky has 120 counties. And it is important to note that we have the benefit of having an entire interstate that runs all the way the length of our county. Not something that happens in Spencer County, Trimble County. Other areas of the state really are limited in their development by their access to the interstate. It just so happens that I-71 is one of the very important interstates, as it is part of the Golden Triangle that you can see when I back out here. The Golden Triangle, everybody familiar? Being the I-71 corridor, the I-64 corridor, and then the I-75 corridors here. But when you look and consider what we have developing, you can kind of see where all the development is packing in here in Crestwood. Buckner's getting some activity, and then LaGrange, of course, is growing. But when you back away and consider our county in the bigger picture, you can see right at the line the significance and the impact that the development has in Jefferson County. So like all of the major markets that are growing, and Louisville is growing, not as fast as some of the other markets, but there's a lot of migration post-COVID that's happened from blue states. We've heard about all this, blue states going to red states. Nashville is a very hot area. The growth that's happened in Nashville has put a lot of pressure on the infrastructure in and around Nashville to where a lot of folks are going into that market. They're there for 3 to 5 years, and then they're leaving the market just because the quality of life is declining due to the impact on the stress on that infrastructure. That puts Louisville's region, Lexington, Cincinnati, in an area where northern Kentucky really, where they're seeing a lot of people that they'll go to a Nashville market, an Indianapolis market, and then they'll move out of it into those areas. Then, of course, post-COVID, we have a migration that's happening outside. I mean, when was the last mass migration that you could think of in Kentucky that impacted Oldham County? Busing in the 70s. So the most significant impact we've had since busing would be the COVID migration. And so you have what a lot of these urban areas have this phenomenon called the donut hole that's happening. Anybody heard of that? It's where the urban core of the city begins to hollow out as people start to move out. The riots in 2020 were not helpful. A lot of the challenges that Louisville faced and face with crime and whatnot has really put a lot of challenges in the downtown business district market. You would expect with those issues, everybody's getting in their car and they're coming out and they're flying out into the other counties. And that is happening to an extent. But when it comes to business, what that environment creates is opportunities for the people who are under leases and whatnot. So you'll see a lot of places where they have a lease that is coming up, but the landlord will extend it because they're not really wanting to make a change at this time. There's a ton of office vacancies. PNC Tower, it's basically empty. Humana. There's a lot of the downtown district that just the office is not full. And part of that isn't just the change and the leaving of the population out into the other areas. It's also related to what is the nature of office work anymore. So as we talk about these sectors and you think about where people used to go to the work in their cubicle 8 hours a day, that a lot of times we have businesses who've gone to a work from home model. And now many of them are actually pulling a lot of folks back into the office. And some are offering kind of a different type of a model or a hybrid model where they get to work at home a few days a week. The Rawlings Group, for example, moved out here with 500 employees and tripled in size over the year. They're at about 1,650 folks, and they are still trying to grow. The work from home model was actually very effective for them. However, they still, as a value, they want to have folks in their office. And one of the things we were talking with their HR person about that was of interest was that it's not just a matter of having an employee in the proximity of being able to take direction and know what the whole team's doing, but also the individual workers want professional development. And it's hard to develop professionally when you're working out of your living room or whatever your personal office space is. So a lot of employers are trying to give some sort of an opportunity for their workers to come back. As they come back, they're showing different models where there's working inside and outside. There's more collaborative workspace. So a different design is starting to take over in a lot of places. And then, of course, we see a lot of home offices that are starting to grow all over the place. So these are going to create changes within the market that will continue to adjust over time. But when you look at the other types of development, residential development in Oldham County, of course, has always been something that has been the biggest driver of our growth due to our school systems. And then when you look at industrial, we don't really have a ton of industrial opportunities in Oldham County based on how we have laid out the community. And what we have seen, Louisville is an industrial town, and the development that's happening in Louisville largely is happening on southern Indiana's side in the River Ridge area, New Albany, and a lot of the Clarksville, a lot of that Utica, a lot of that. Has anybody been over and seen what that looks like when you get over there across that bridge, the housing that's going in, the restaurants, the amenities? They've done a really good job of making it clean and having some nice space. So we'll see how that continues to age and mature as a lot of new users are there. But one of the assets they have in southern Indiana at River Ridge is a 6,000 acre. It was a federal munitions site that has, I think it's over $2 billion of money that has been dropped in it over the last several decades just to get it prepared to be able to turn into what it is now. River Ridge has about 11,000 employees currently. They've only developed about 1,200 of the 6,000 acres, so they have a lot left to do. And then, of course, between the logistics and access they have to UPS and the Louisville International or Muhammad Ali International Airport, it's been a really good thing for the Louisville region. I think what that does is it gives us opportunities that we can try to prepare for. And so hopefully I'll have a presentation here maybe next year where we can talk a little bit more in depth about some plans to create good accommodations for high quality manufacturing and industrial types of projects. So I'll have to put that on the side burner right now. What's the status of our roads? Well, we have about $80 million of internal roads that are around the various business districts that have either been constructed or under construction or about to start construction. The widening of I-71 is a $1.8 billion investment from the federal government to widen I-71 from Gene Snyder Expressway all the way up to exit 14 and then exit 14 up to 17. I think 25 is when they're projecting to be done with that first leg. Then the next leg would go up to exit 17 and then the final leg up to exit 22. We're told they'll go beyond, but the plan is to get it up to exit 22, which is a real priority for the entire county here, to continue on the trajectory and continue to capture the momentum that's building. That is the key driver of the whole thing. Fiber. You probably had somebody come to Rotary and talk about the fiber initiative that fiscal court had with AT&T. It's a really exciting project. AT&T is using Oldham County as a case study to talk about other communities all across the country and how they can use some of these ARPA funds and local governments to help bring high quality internet, gigabit service all the way to the most rural parts of a county. So, you have about a $30 million expense fiscal court put in about $9 million of those funds that were earmarked only for certain things. And then you look at that, and if you are in a very rural part of Oldham County, you're gonna be grateful to be able to have that opportunity to have that gigabit service. We have the highest educated workforce in the entire state of Kentucky, and they typically work high quality jobs, and we need to have high quality internet to be able to accommodate them as they work from home offices or try to establish businesses here as well. So if we were to look at the county as a whole, and gosh, I did it again. If we look at the county as a whole, and we were to try to determine what is the best bet for developing economic business in the county without hurting the quality of life. So the mission of our organization is to promote the economic prosperity of Oldham County while preserving and enhancing its quality of life. So to do that, we have to really have a strategy that makes sense. And because we are a rural community in a lot of ways, the opportunity really lies all along the I-71 corridor. And so we've kind of, in our office, we've referred to these kind of as high potential areas or high potential sites. Now, I'll preface this by saying these are not the only high potential sites. And so if you have a farm or if you have a property that has a lot of potential, we probably are aware of it. And we certainly, it behooves us to be as informed on all of the inventory that is available in the county as folks reach out to us looking for places to place their business. So while I'm going to drill down on some areas here, these are not the only sites that we think about a lot. And they're pretty obvious when you consider the 71 corridor. We'll call this site number 1 is, anybody recognize where we are here? Exit 14. So you can see the Starbucks here. All 4 corners of this, well, these 3 corners, let's say, are part of the Clore Station development. This is a very high-end neighborhood development that will have amenities and some commercial retail spaces, some public spaces, but very nice housing, similar to that of Norton Commons. But one of the really important pieces of this project is that about 54 acres of this northeastern side of the property has been purchased by Baptist Health, who is building an entire health and wellness campus that will be anchored by a $300 million state-of-the-art hospital. Will provide about 2,000 jobs injecting into the county, which Baptist will by far have surpassed us as having the largest employer in the county by that point. Very exciting development. Going to be a great first impression as you come in out of Louisville into Oldham County and you see the topography of that land and how the housing will be laid out, how beautiful that will be. The Jones and Clore families have really invested a lot of time and effort in making sure that they didn't just sell off pieces of land to put a truck stop and make some quick cash. So I think that development is a very special development and will bring a lot of great things to Crestwood. I'm going to slide up here to exit 17. Exit 17 here, this is a good example of why we have to invest in development. So infrastructure. I've talked about it for years. People get sick of it. They want to know about the cool businesses. Can't put a cool business anywhere if there's no infrastructure. And so one of the challenges we have here at exit 17, this is the old Tri-County Ford site. It actually has a painting company who's there right now, and they have several employees. They do a great job. It's nice, but there's no sewers to this part of to this interchange. And so we have approximately 80 to 90 acres that it's privately owned between a family and another couple of investors that really put this on the map as being a nice opportunity. Back in 2018, I think it was, we had an effort working with MSD to kind of get some ideas of what the expense would be to actually bring sewers to this property. At the time, it was about $4.5 million, so it's probably about $10 million now. Then we have exit 18, and exit 18 is actually very, very active right now. And of course, one of the most important projects that's active right now in the county is the new Kroger that's being built there. This is 104,000 square foot. It's a very nice Kroger, have a lot of those amenities, have over 300 employees. And Kroger brings a lot of things that you see around Kroger. So you can expect retail and commercial amenities to pop up. A lot of those deals are being negotiated and cut right now. McDonald's, I think you've already heard it announced. They're going to be one of the outlots of Kroger. I think they're right here on the corner, there's I think it's a 20 pump gas station. There's another restaurant parcel that would go there that's being negotiated out. And then of course, this property around the new Tri-County has a lot of activity, and is this a big crucial part of how this has gotten to happen has been because the Commerce Parkway extension was completed, which by the way gives us access to some industrial acreage we couldn't really get to before. So again, importance of infrastructure. Also, the private landowners contributing to the expansion of that infrastructure. But with Kroger going here, you have all of the things you would expect to see trying to locate around Kroger that are trying to make deals around Kroger's. This is my alarm. I'm almost to exit 20. New exit, right? Exit 20. Anybody been down to see the new exit? It is awesome. It's beautiful. I never thought I'd like asphalt so much, but I'm 48 almost. So this is going to be a really nice feature. In fact, we've got 5 interchanges on this interstate. I mean, that is a lot of opportunity when it comes to development, and this is no different. This is the Oldham Reserve. You can kind of see the park outline here. There's Trilogy was under construction, but exit 20 will be the front door of the Oldham Reserve development. There are the master developer, Hollenbach Oakley, and the Hocker Group just recently purchased 73 acres. They have a project they'll be leading with that is a high-end multifamily project, about 250 units, eventually 500 units. That's to help support the growth that's happening at the Rawlings Group, future housing that will be in the park. The park overall is a lifestyle park, which is a great economic development term that could mean anything, but what it really means is we hope to have people living there in some nice accommodations, having access to parks, trails, walking trails, but also the amenities that would keep them being able to work, live, and play in there. And then of course, we have to have the employers there. So Trilogy moved in 2021. This is an 85,000 square foot Class A nursing facility and has about 125 employees. They are currently in negotiations on another 3 acres along the Eagle Creek Golf Course to put some of the villas. The 73 acres that were purchased by the development partners have a mix of high-end kind of retail and commercial that I can't talk too much about, but we're excited about the announcements that we expect to come out. I'll just say that they are all things that are not in Oldham County. And one of the things I expect that this will impact, if they're able to get some of these over the finish line that they're talking to, is that a phenomenon we have here that I'm sure you're familiar with is the people that live in LaGrange don't go to Crestwood, and the people that live in Crestwood don't come to LaGrange. They don't even know about what's up in LaGrange, shockingly enough, and vice versa. So what we think that this helps LaGrange do is give people a reason to come here. It's a destination for an amenity, not just a tourism amenity, not just a pub or something like that, but a series of things that will help them think more about staying in Oldham County than maybe going to an Eastern Jefferson County. And then obviously our neighbors up in Trimble County and Henry County and Spencer County, Shelby County will be able to come over and use those same types of amenities. So we're excited about that as well. And then exit 22. Exit 22 gives us access to, it's outside of Oldham Reserve, but Baptist Health LaGrange, which had gone through multiple expansions and renovations, beautiful facility, announced their pharmaceutical headquarters under construction now. The walls are going up. 200 employees, average salary over $100,000 a year. Tremendous. If you think about between Rawlings and the Baptist Pharmacy headquarters, you've got between a $70,000 and $100,000 a year average salary just there in a small town of 10,000 folks. So pretty impressive what the Rawlings Group has been able to do, what Baptist has been doing. When you consider Baptist at both ends of I-71, they're putting out almost $500 million of new investment in Oldham County and bringing literally thousands of jobs. So the concept, when you go back to, I guess, 2005, the idea was, say, an Oldham Reserve, which is we need to have a place for the types of jobs that this demographic work, which is we have this highly educated workforce that migrates out during the day. They have their kids in a good quality schools. They send them to good colleges. We need to have good places for them to work. We have to have a place for that. And so the investments that have been happening to bring that project online is starting to pay off. But the concept, I think, was proved by George Rawlings and by the folks at the Baptist. So I'm already at 103. I'm sorry. I could keep going, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are we close to getting Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A is close. Chick-fil-A is amongst the array of things that I just talked about. So, but I will say it's cluck cluck. It's not chick chick. So whoever put that in the boat, the song book there.
Dave, when you, when Oldham kind of gets a new restaurant, business, whatever, do you seek them or do they seek you, or is it both? Either or?
It's both. It's becoming more the latter. We're getting a lot of calls now to where our meetings we're having, we're sitting down with folks who are saying, hey, where could I go? Here's what I have. So that's been good. Now, we get a lot of dreamers that come in too, which is fun and neat. But when you have somebody that actually comes into the office, they have capital, they've got a plan, they have a partnership group, it's a big difference working with them than say just working with the average kind of small business entrepreneur. But in regards to the recruitment effort, you know, amenities when it comes to restaurants, yes, we do make efforts to recruit those, but those amenities are kind of this phase prior to some of the larger employers. The workforce labor market is so competitive, the employers want to have nice amenities for their employees. And so that has been one of the things that gets mentioned to us a lot is, for example, we'll go to some of our larger employers and ask them, you know, what types of industry would behoove you to have close to you? And they'll say things like, well, we just would like to have some better restaurants and some better housing or more housing or closer housing. I'm going to call up something real quick here. Did I answer your question? Kind of. Okay. Okay. Other questions? Go ahead and just yell it out. I'm going to look something up.
Dave, I have a question.
Sure.
In Oldham Reserve, has there been any discussion about a small municipal airport?
No, but yeah, I was gonna say before I got here, when the ad was in the paper, I was looking it up. I was like, well, what's going on out there anyway? And I think they were sacrificing somebody over an airport problem or idea that was here. So no, Gallatin actually just opened a regional airport. So and I left it out of what I was going to say. I'm trying to incorporate this into my pitch. But really, when you think about I-71, it is an airport corridor, right? So you have the two international airports at both ends with large, Amazon's at both parts of there. And then right in the middle here with Gallatin, we have this regional airport, which gives a great opportunity.
Yeah. So I just thought maybe future with the new exit, future growth, Oldham Reserve, would that enhance anybody, any company? Hey, they could just land right here, drop something off and be gone.
I think it certainly could. You know, it's also which lumps do you want to take? And so I think when you weigh the priorities of assets and those things, I think that gets a little bit further down. But as we get the interchange access, as we get the sewers expanded and whatnot, I think that becomes something on the table.
Early in your presentation about how some of the cities are losing because of quality of life. The biggest issue that I've seen years I've been in Oldham County is the loss of atmosphere. For those of you who have been here, may not see it as much. When I moved to Oldham County, we were still suburban, now getting closer to urban. I know that I oppose the alcohol simply because of the attitude, not the finance. But I'm quite about that, but I am concerned significantly because of some of the connections I have with all this. Concerned significantly grading of Oldham as a place to live. By the industrialization, by the commercialization. And just significantly because of the 71 corridor and the crime that comes off of that corridor.
Gosh, there's a lot there.
30 seconds. Left.
I have a lot of opinions I'd love to share on that. So would love to talk to you offline about it. I would say that and I'm a new resident, actually. I've worked here since 2009, but my wife and I and our children just moved over in LaGrange on Madison back in September. We love living in LaGrange, love it. And it's a lot different having worked here for so long and now living here and continuing to raise our family here. But we absolutely do love it. And so I guess it's an upgrade for me coming in from Louisville. But I mean, we were a pretty nice place. But one of the things I think that might get conflated sometimes with folks that have been here a long time is that new people equal degrading to the whole situation. And I don't find it that way necessarily. And I don't know what our crime statistics are. I mean, I am of the belief that Mayor Black asked me one day, what do you think we could do that would best help the city? I said, keep it safe and keep it clean and get out of the way so that private industry could do some things. And I really believe that safety is a big deal. We felt the safety in downtown Louisville just going to recruit folks, just going in and walking around and thinking, you know, this has been a rough area. There's recently, there's a copper business that's down by the skate park that just had a shooting right outside of it that was all over the news. And those folks saying, we're worried for our employees. Well, we've got places for you out here. We'd love to accommodate you, but yeah. But I mean, you're going to have more police. There's going to be more traffic. The roads are going to have to continue to get fixed and repaired. And, there's truth to it becoming more urban, I think is strong. It's definitely a suburbs. I think what's great and important about the county is to maintain its individualism through its history. So the work that's done in LaGrange, I think that Crestwood has a really very important set of projects with the Maples Park project, with the Stess Manor, and where the city's trying to concentrate some of the development. But when you think about Crestwood, it's just not that walkable of a place, right? You have to go into the place that you're intentionally going to visit. And now with the internet, it makes it a lot more easy just to order something on my phone and have it delivered to my door. So the connectivity of everything from the Clore Station development all the way down to the Maples Park project is really, really good for the county. And I know it's an area of an issue sometimes, but the new courthouse, the downtown LaGrange, the history center, all of that really does help give an identity to folks here. So when people move in, you see them wanting to kind of become part of the community rather than just come in here and now we're just Louisville, I think. But I could be a little Pollyanna about it. But again, I think that it gets difficult. I'm not done yet. I've said all this. Sorry, everybody's got a good job in the back too. Oh, thank you. So anyway, I appreciate it. Okay.
I knew you'd have a whole lot of information you'd want to hear. David, we are so thankful for you supporting our club through the years and coming today to speak. A small token of our appreciation.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Very much.
And
Appreciate it.
we will be donating $25 in your name to eradicate polio.
Great.
And that I think is really exciting because we're getting really close.
Awesome.
So that's good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it.
Got it.
Very good. Okay, we're just a couple minutes over, but
Thank you. Thank you.
remember, we have to create hope in the world. And Robin, would you do the wheel for me?
Oh, yeah. That's good.
No, the wheel. Give me a color. Red, okay. Mark.
Last three numbers are 8.
What is it?
511.
511.
All parts of that 511, the other one was not. Good teamwork, baby.
All right, let's go and create hope in the world.
All right.
How close are we to getting sick today?
Close. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it might be announced this year, but maybe next year.
Really?
There's two different sites that could be going, but there's gonna be there'll be a series of announcements, most likely. there'll be an anchor retailer in Oldham Reserve. And then with that will hopefully be a series of,
That is almost a done deal.
they're cutting the deal. It's looking good. We keep going back with, I mean, we just had to amend the master development agreement to account for paying back investment in extending the sewers. So just that alone kept the conversation going. So that was something that had to happen. So we'll see.
I always shake hands with all the important.
Oh, stop it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Good
Good to see you.
Everybody just wants you to come up and be a fortune teller and say it's.
I
all
know,
okay.
I
That's
know.
what they're all after. Even him and his Chick-fil-A. All he
That's
wants you to do
right.
is say, yeah, there's
He's
one
nice.
coming.
So this
shaking
one
hands up
coming, that's
Or if
right.
All you gotta do is say, yeah, there's one coming. He has no idea when it's gonna be. Just say, yes, Al, there's one coming. I got it on the list.
That's right.
Then I'll get you off your back.
Good to see you, Mr. Westbrook.
The family that owns most of the Moby Dixon, I mentioned that today to one of their sons. And he said, you know, I never thought about coming out to Oldham County. Do you think that might be
Oh, yeah.
why?
Moby Dick? Moby Dick in Oldham County? Perhaps.
I know the family that owns Moby Dix, most of them. in Louisville. I worked out today, F3 was one of the sons and mentioned, these guys come to Oldham County. They were not close to some of the restaurants. Can't get employed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's bad.
Look at my butt off. trying to keep this one restaurant open.
What's that? Yeah. There's two areas where they're looking at. You never really know because maybe there's one looking we don't know, but somewhere between 18 and 20 is probably where they're at.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. I'm in.
People have so many detailed questions.
Yeah.
Hospital, that's-
Yeah, I'd love to do it. Anytime we can get correct information out, it helps. Thanks, Donna.
Bye.
Bye, Eli.
I already.
Yeah, that could be good. Hey, how are you? Seen you in a while.
Yeah,
You all right?
Yeah, you remember me?
Yeah.
I know, I was thinking back on that. My goodness, that was only 12. I just can't fathom.
I know. We were down at the train station, I think.
I mean, seriously, it blows my mind when, because you got Hope Gardner and Charlie and a few others, they invited me to the Rotary then.
Oh, right.
And I almost went back and had a couple more kids and I don't remember anything since.
Yeah.
And so 10 years later, I'm like, oh yeah, Rotary, you should totally do that.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Well, it's good.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the AT&T thing. I
Mhm.
was just curious, are they still sharing that, the infrastructure of that, or is that exclusive to them?
It's
No?
exclusive to them. There might be parts that they're sharing. It's exclusive to them. But I think on the pole, it's not exclusive.
Because like in our area, so we have
Thank you, Matt.
Spectrum, but they use AT&T's copper. Because AT&T, I think, always owns it.
Yeah.
But that would mean everybody had to jump over.
Yeah, I think what happened was AT&T's got fiber and then thank you.
Appreciate all that. You know, my wife and I, we've this is our